What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new episode. Coach Joe here with Heartletics.com. And today we're actually going to be talking about one key thing that, in my opinion, is what makes somebody successful. Whether you're a guy, whether you're a girl, whether you're somebody that's trying to start your own business, whether you're somebody that's trying to be successful on, let's say, your health and fitness journey, you need to embody this one character trait. And we're going to talk about this, but this conversation actually started from last night. So I'm a part of this men's group where we get together once a week and we just kind of talk. And it's really great, right? I'm probably the youngest guy inside of this group. There's a lot of guys in their 50s, 60s, 70s, even 80s, And it's great because I'm filled every single week with just wisdom and knowledge, right? From guys that has, had other businesses and, have done all these amazing things in their life. And it's great because I get to sit there and just absorb and listen in. And last night's topic, right? We like to do these challenges. We like to do these topics once a week. Last night's topic was, hey, what makes somebody successful? And you should see this, right? Like everybody got it's like they saw a ghost. Like nobody wanted to speak up. And I'm sure other people, right? Like they wanted to say something, but didn't. And then other people, they did say something. And you heard the common things like, hey, provided for your family, saved up for retirement, helped other people, come closer to God and come closer to Christ, hearing all these things about what makes somebody successful. And then I want to speak up because I want to view my opinion, because even though I'm a young buck, I always like to speak. I always like to give my 2 cents to either one, receive constructive criticism when I'm in the wrong, because let's face it, I'm not right all the time. But at the second time, I firmly believe hey, you shouldn't just go there and listen. You should go there and participate, right? It's like somebody that wants to lose weight, right? They can look up on YouTube and look up on Google, right? The best workouts in the world and watch workout videos. But if they're not actually in the gym working out, what's the point of that, right? Knowledge is one thing, but applied knowledge is another thing. So when it went around the room and it got to my turn when I want to speak, I said one thing, right? What makes somebody successful is this one character trait, and that's integrity. Integrity. And I want to talk all about that in today's podcast. And if you're somebody that's brand new, that's, diving in, or maybe you stumbled across, the podcast either, on Spotify, or maybe you're watching this on YouTube, well, hey, welcome. My name's Coach Joe. I'm a health and fitness coach, and I love helping our members transform their lives, not just physically, but most importantly, mentally as well. And that's what you're going to find here a lot in terms of these podcast episodes, right? Giving you all the tools, giving you all the character traits to focus on more discipline, to focus on having more integrity, to focus on, most importantly, having the right tools to go after your goals, right? So when we're talking all about integrity, I'm faced with this daily, honestly. If you guys go back a few episodes, there is a self-assessment video or podcast that I created where it's 10 questions that you can ask yourself every single morning to help hold yourself accountable. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have anybody in your corner holding yourself accountable, right? And if you're not holding yourself accountable, you're realistically probably never going to be successful, right? You got to make sure you have the right people, right? That's going to support you, but also you got to make sure that you're being true to yourself. You got to make sure that you're also practicing a form of self-accountability. And these series of 10 questions, they definitely challenge you. And every single morning, it's hard for me to ask these questions to myself. Because, we'll start off with the questions like, hey, what are your goals? And it's great because it brings my focus, alignment back into my goals. So when I'm going through my daily intentions of, hey, what am I going to do today? I got to make sure that's in alignment with my goals. But then also, second question is why it's important, And this really makes you think about it, right? Not having a surface level why, but a deep rooted why. That's going to make you stay more disciplined. That's going to make you show up when you don't feel like it. And remember, successful people do what they have to do whether they feel like it or not. And a big part of that is integrity that we're going to talk about in a little bit. But one of the questions that's on there, right, is, are you pretty much how are you facing in your goals, right? How are you going towards your goals? And the sub question that I have for that is, are you walking or are you running? And unfortunately, a lot of guys, they're walking towards their goals. The question is, how bad do you actually want to be successful? That's the question. And then it's, are you walking toward your goals or are you running toward your goals? And you might be somebody that's watching this right now and say, I want it so bad, right? I want to be successful so bad at reaching my goals. I want to get off my medications. I want to have six-pack abs. I want to have more confidence, the whole 9 yards. But the reality is, are you talking the talk or are you actually walking the walk? And we're going to get into that in a little bit, because when you actually get into the root of integrity, it has a lot to do with you doing the actions, not just saying you're going to do it, but actually following through with it, right? So when I was asked this question last night about, hey, what is the definition of somebody having success, right? What makes somebody successful? The first thing that came to my mind was integrity, because I'm a firm believer that, hey, at the end of the day, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And every single morning when I'm asking myself these series of questions, like how bad do I want it? Am I running towards my goals or am I walking to my goals? I have to be faced with myself. That's it, right? Like there's only one person that I'm looking at in the mirror every single day, and that's me. And if I'm, let's say, cutting out shortcuts here and there, odds are I'm going to be cutting out shortcuts elsewhere in life. Meaning, right? And I had to think about this honestly most recently, which is like, I tell everybody in terms of our members, in terms of our clients, hey, work out, focus on a morning routine, focus on tracking your macros, right? Do all the things here and you're going to have success on your health and fitness goals, right? But it's not just having success on your health and fitness goals. It's also having success in other areas of your life. So I was looking at it from this perspective of like, man, like maybe I got too comfortable living inside my comfort zone. Meaning that, I've been tracking my macros religiously for years. I've been, working out religiously for years, and I love it, right? Obviously, like this is my passion. This is where I firmly believe like, hey, when you fill up your cup and become the best version of yourself physically, that's going to branch out into you becoming the best version of yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually as well. It's going to help you with more confidence. It's going to help you with more discipline, more self-esteem, the whole 9 yards. So when you're faced with, harder challenges, maybe at work or at home with stress, or, maybe trying to lead somebody, right? Maybe, somebody that doesn't believe in God and you want to have that heart-to-heart conversation with them. Well, hey, it kind of all starts with how you're doing your physical actions, right? Like that's where the proving ground is. That's where the battlefield is showing up to the gym, right? Especially on the days when you don't feel like it. If you can master that, man, imagine these other qualities of your life that you can also excel in as well. So that's why I'm a firm believer of, hey, putting yourself first and physically becoming the best version of yourself and knowing what works best for your body type, knowing how to treat your body like a temple, because it's going to branch off into all other areas where you can really be that light. You can really be that asset rather than a liability that's holding people back in life. So I'm asking myself, right, this question in terms of like the integrity piece, what makes somebody successful? And I'm doing this grand, bigger scheme on things where it's like, okay, hey, maybe I've been inside my comfort zone for a little bit too long here. Maybe I should actually start being more honest with myself. And this is not, an easy thing for anybody to admit. This is me coming to reality of telling you guys on a public surface, right? Like, hey, I got to do a better job, right? And like, even though, hey, I have a, great business, great family, great health, all this stuff, I could still do a better job. I can still push myself, because if the definition of what makes somebody successful is integrity, which I definitely believe it is, then by that definition, I'm not successful, right? And the reason why I'm not successful is because, once again, how you do one thing is how you do everything. I firmly believe that as a man. And I know there's plenty of times where I'm not tracking my macros because I'm like, oh, I'll just eyeball it, right? Hey, I'm not tracking my lifts because, oh, I'll just eyeball it. I've been doing this for so long, right? But then things start to get a little bit through the cracks, right? Meaning like, hey, my sleep, my hydration is not on point, right? I'm not tracking this stuff as much as I should be. I'm not following through the actions, right, of the 7 essential fat loss habits that we coach and we teach our members with at Heartletics. I'm not following through with that. And if I'm not following through with the small things, right, how can I be rewarded with the bigger things? Let that sink in. I believe that's actually one of the parables that Jesus talks about in Matthew, I believe, where it's just like, you have the guys with the little talents, right? And, one guy, the king goes off. One guy takes the 5 talents and he invests it, right? He gets double the money back. Another guy takes the 2 talents, he invests it. He gets double the money back, right? And then one person, he takes his 1 talent and he just buries it, right? And the king comes back and he's all upset because he's like, hey, why didn't you use my money? And then it specifically says in there, right? Like those that have been, granted with little and how they do things well with that are rewarded with more. And so I was thinking about it as I'm literally reading that Bible verse, and we're talking all about success, and here I am talking all about integrity. I had to take this, scheme of things from a bigger picture in terms of my own day-to-day operations, in terms of my own day-to-day life, where it's like, hey, am I actually like doing the right things? Am I actually practicing integrity or not? Or am I cutting corners? Because if I'm cutting corners on my sleep, if I'm cutting corners on my hydration, right? Maybe only drinking a half gallon when I should be drinking a gallon of water a day. If I'm cutting corners on, let's say, not tracking my nutrition, not tracking my lifts, right? Not doing the right things that's going to excel as a, athlete of who I am as a coach. Well, guess what? Where else through the cracks, right, am I also not going to excel at? Because if I'm willing to cut corners in one area of my life, in my physical, right, that's giving me permission to cut corners in elsewhere. And that could be my relationship with my wife. That could be my relationship with my son. That could be my relationship with Christ. That could be my relationship with my, team members and my clients. And it all stems from this. And so you guys can see like why I'm passionately talking about integrity, because I'm somebody that is a work in progress. I'm somebody that sees like, man, there's some areas of my life like I got to sharpen up, right? In the Bible, right, it even says iron sharpens iron as one man sharpens another. And like, this is why you got to make sure that you have the right people holding you accountable. This is why you got to make sure you have the right tools and metrics to be tracking things. Now, luckily, I have my own training app where I can track my workouts, track my nutrition, track my sleep, track my, hydration, and make sure that I'm doing the right things. Very easy, But somebody like yourself, hey, this might be something for you to kind of reconsider here, where it's like, hey, maybe in certain areas of your life, it's like you're cutting corners. And maybe that is with you and your health and fitness journey. And you got to take a look at the bigger scheme of things here, right? Because where is that also giving you permission to cut corners out of your life? Is that, hey, I'm going to come home from work and just sit around all day, drink a beer. I have Cheeto dust laying all over me, watch, Netflix and just chill. And every single day it's Groundhog's Day, repeat. Well, okay. Like, how is that improving your relationship with your family? How is that improving you excelling at work and making more money? You can see here that like how, once again, you do one thing is how you do everything. So my challenge for you guys, as well as a challenge to myself, is for the next day, or the next 30 days, I should say, is practice integrity with your health and fitness goals and watch how the improvements happen elsewhere in your life. Maybe that's more mental clarity. Maybe that's more emotional strength. Maybe that's more spiritual, earnings, whatever the case may be, but it's like, hey, practice the integrity. Because like, if there's one thing out here that I can truly say, right? I get hit up a lot with guys that, hey, they want to join our coaching program, right? And they tell me all the time when we have these strategy calls, going over, their goals, going over their struggles, and just seeing if it's a good fit to apply and get accepted into our coaching program. I hear the one thing a lot is, hey, I wish I had more confidence. I wish I had more confidence. I wish I had more confidence. Now, let me just break this for you for any self-limiting beliefs that you may have. You do not get confidence from looking a certain way, right? Don't believe me? Well, guess what? The physique competitors, the bodybuilders that's out there, they get judged daily by how they look. And they are the most insecure people you'll ever meet in your life. Like, think about it. They have to be religiously strict to their macros, religiously strict to their training, like everything, looking in the mirror, right? And it's a lot of insecurities deep down inside. So where do you actually gain confidence from? Well, you gain confidence from trusting yourself, right? It's a sense of self-trust. And if you're somebody that constantly talks the talk, oh, I'm going to lose weight this year. Oh, I'm going to get off my medications. Oh, I'm going to, stick to this nutrition plan. I'm going to stick to this workout routine, but you don't actually stick with it. Guess what? You're losing trust within yourself. And when you lose trust within yourself, you lack the confidence. This is why I always tell everybody, it's like confidence is all about your, reps that you put in. So meaning like for me, hey, my last MMA fight, and I talk about this often, I was stuck in a nasty armbar. I wanted to tap out, right? My arm was popping. It was cracking left to right. And the guy I was versing, he was undefeated, right? And I couldn't find any film footage on him. So going into that match and him getting me an armbar, guess what? Like, that sucked. But I had confidence because I've had X amount of fights, X amount of jiu-jitsu tournaments, X amount of training sessions being stuck in this armbar. Hey, instead of let's acting on emotions and being all scared because I'm caught in an armbar. Let's stay cool, let's stay calm, and let's look for an opportunity to overcome this challenge. And that's exactly what I did. And then I'm getting out of the armbar, tapping my opponent out 55 seconds in the first round. And that's how I won my last amateur MMA fight. But guess what? That confidence came from me, right, deciding from the past circumstances that I already overcame. All those challenges and adversity that I already overcame. Well, if you're somebody that you're not proud of how you look and feel, right? You have a hard time staring yourself in the mirror because you don't even know who's looking back at you these days. Odds are you don't trust yourself. Odds are like you've been talking the talk, but you haven't been walking the walk. It's the same thing of like having a gym membership, but you don't actually go to the gym. Like you can't expect to look a certain way and feel a certain way by just buying that gym membership. You actually have to show up. You actually have to put in the actions. And this is why integrity, right? Going back to this is, hey, what makes somebody successful? Integrity, baby. And how can you be more successful in your life? Maybe in your career, maybe in your relationships, maybe in your health and fitness goals. Hey, it starts by you actually walking the walk. It starts with you not talking the talk anymore, but actually you putting one foot in front of the other and you deciding to take action. You making a commitment and a promise to yourself and a declaration to yourself that, hey, you're worth it. Because maybe, who knows, if you know that if you excel and become the best version of yourself mentally and physically and become that asset, become that lighthouse, become that leader, how else would that also improve maybe the lives of your loved ones, your family members, your coworkers, your communities? So just some food for thought for you guys. And hey, if you need any help on your health and fitness journey, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, you can click on the link down below. I have a completely free training guide that you can go ahead and check out. You're going to learn the best workouts, you're going to learn the best nutrition tips, and most importantly, the best mindset when it comes to being successful on your own health and fitness journey. And that's at least going to be able to help you with a step-by-step plan to follow. So that way, hey, you don't walk around aimlessly. Like you actually know what to do. And that way, hey, you can start filling up your cup and becoming that asset, right? Become that role model, become that leader, so that way you can be more to pouring out into others. And I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, definitely give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below also letting me know your biggest takeaway. And if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, I would greatly appreciate it if you did. As always, guys, this has been Coach Joe with Heartletics.com, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Peace out, Girl Scouts.